What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some news for you concerning Terrence Crawford. According to reliable sources, Todd DeBuff, Mr. McIntyre, that ESPN reached out to Angel Garcia, which manages his son, Danny Garcia, and they offered him $3 million to face him. And this was a few weeks ago, mind you. And all we have heard is crickets. Nothing at all, right? Now, this doesn't surprise me, but this totally eradicates any of the foolishness that you hear about, like Errol Spence was talking, side of the street. It don't matter about the side of the street. It doesn't matter about that. Money talks with all these boxing matches. It's a fight purse. The fight purse is put up for both fighters, and an offer is made. They either take it or leave. It doesn't matter where they're at. It is going to be on pay-per-view, so that really doesn't matter. These networks will get together if Danny wanted to fight. You didn't hear anything in 3 weeks' time? Come on now. They didn't want to fight. Now I've heard these on other videos, and, Dante's Boxing Nation, he made his own spill on it. And of course, he wanted to talk about Canelo cherry-picking Fielding, Golovkin picking Badarosian, Anthony Joshua ducking Wilder to fight Povetkin, which a couple of those I agree with, maybe one out of those. So I believe with 25% of what he said, I would buy, but the rest is garbage. But he leaves out Errol Spence. Errol Spence didn't want to fight Terrence Crawford. He'd rather fight Sean Porter, okay? Keith Thurman doesn't want to fight Terrence Crawford. He would rather fight anyone else. Danny Garcia was offered $3 million to fight Terrence Crawford, and of course we know now he doesn't want that fight unless unless something happened recently that I don't know about, But as of now, they haven't heard anything. And in 3 weeks, come on, you would have at least heard a reply. Someone offering you $3 million to fight the WBO champion of the world, and that's Terrence Crawford. And what do you get? You get nothing. It's retarded, But what trips me out is certain people protecting certain guys. See, here's the deal. Garcia is like a guy that is a good fighter, and he's one of the top fighters that PBC has to offer. He's fought tough fights with Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, and that's his only 2 losses. And they were pretty close fights. The Porter fight wasn't a bad fight for Danny Garcia. But Danny Garcia is a guy now. It's tough for him because he doesn't have too many times to lose. Before he just becomes either a journeyman or a person that becomes irrelevant in the sport because he's had too many losses. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. But you guys can remember, this is really not a big surprise for Garcia because he turned down $4 million to fight Pacquiao, 2 or 3 years ago. So people forget that, So yeah, he's going to turn down a fight with Terrence Crawford. And on top of that, it's my theory that Terrence Crawford, man, he actually was the person that ran from 140 to avoid Terrence Crawford. Because Terrence Crawford went up to 140 pounds in 2015. That's when Danny Garcia left in 2015. You know what I mean? They did not want that smoke then. They do not want that smoke now. And a lot of those guys, they would rather fight easier competition than to fight the toughest fight out there. That's what they'll do. It's, and it's not a lot about the money. They know, hey, I'd rather make $1 million fighting someone easy, or even $600,000-700,000 fighting an easier opponent and not take a loss or not risk taking a loss, versus taking $3 million and fighting a person that is one of the top, and take a loss. They wouldn't want to do that, But if I'm Danny Garcia, man, I'm like, well, why not? You've got 2 losses already. The Mayweather philosophy for him, that Mayweather doctrine is dead for him. You know what I mean? It doesn't really apply simply because it's like, okay, you have lost. So you can't apply that to your career anymore. You know what I mean? So I don't see why he still has that mentality and not taking the toughest fight. he should take those fights. You know what I mean? And I don't get it. He should have fought Pacquiao. But of course, back then, he hadn't had that O removed from his record yet. He hadn't had that scratch. So, I can understand him doing that. But again, Mayweather had everyone thinking as long as you lose, you can use your record as a bargaining tool. And that only works if you put in the work that Floyd put in. Okay? If you don't put in any work, no one will really know you and respect you. You see what I'm saying? You don't call out a bunch of guys, then fight a couple guys that's credible, and then stop fighting. Because there's always another tough opponent, another tough challenge. And Danny Garcia is no exception. He's just that guy that they offered him a fight, and now he doesn't want to fight. But I mean, he's not the only one that done that. Spence done it. Keith Thurman's doing it. A lot of these guys are doing it. Sean Porter's doing it, definitely. All these guys on that side of the street are doing the same thing. So yes, it's terrible that Danny Garcia is joined that pool of people, but I think he's already been in that pool because remember, him and Deontay Wilder were like the king cherry pickers of the PBC, those Al Haymon dudes. You know what I mean? They were the guys that always avoided the tougher opposition. They never, they were always the dudes that always fought like Rod Salka. Why do you think Rod Salka so popular or infamous? Because no one knew who he was. Like, who the hell is Rod Salka? He's ranked number, I think 76. You know what I mean? You couldn't catch anybody in the top 30, So it's a trip, man. I just scratch my head on that stuff like that because it's like, you guys don't want to fight. So, no, it doesn't surprise me, but it is breaking news, and I'm giving it to you guys. And you guys tell me what you think about Danny Garcia ducking Terrence Crawford. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.